beautiful, beautiful internet friends. Yikes. I know, I can't commit to anything, including a regular upload schedule. And I know it's been a really long time since I updated, so for those of you who have stuck around, thank you so much. And for those of you who are new here, which is a few of you, which is why I'm filming today, hi, hello, I'm Ariel. I don't upload anything ever, but thank you for coming along anyway. Truly. Yeah, so my last two videos have been like where I've been, update videos, and I post them and then I don't post anything else. And today's gonna be another one of those videos, unfortunately. I think the last time I uploaded was in January, February. I'm honestly not sure. I just know that it's been a long time. I deliberated on Twitter with some people just back and forth about whether or not I should even bother updating and just jump back into regular content, or if I should just update a little bit or do like specific videos for everything that's happened. But there's a lot that's happened. Ignore that screaming cat outside my door, please. We'll get to the cat. There's a lot that's happened, and honestly, I kind of just want to bang it all out and move on. You may notice the background here is different. I'm filming in a new space. Because I moved to a new space. So I have a whole list here on my iPad, and I think I'm just gonna start at the beginning of this year and work my way up to now. This is gonna be a lot of talking in this video because truthfully, I just didn't film a lot this year. There's gonna be some animals that you have seen and some animals that you have not seen. There's gonna be a lot of talking in this video. It's fine. If you hate it, I'm sorry. If no one's making you watch it, okay? I'm not monetized. If you don't wanna watch it, don't watch. It's all good. I won't take it personally. Okay, so the last time we chatted, just redone the aviary, and I had kind of touched on the fact that my home life was not super stable at my previous apartment, and that I was kind of casually looking for somewhere else to go. And then it happened to work out that a friend had space in her home, which she has lovingly opened up to me. So I now live here. I did end up moving. I moved in September of this year, so it's been a long time coming, and I still actually have to go back to my other apartment to take out the rest of my furniture and stuff. I'm like half moved. Recently, I did move. That's like thing number one. It does look different here. I don't live there anymore. Okay, so the last time you saw us on camera, I had my fish tank, like my 15-gallon saltwater tank. I had my crested gecko sushi, and I had my birds. So I had Cusco, Indy, Kita, and Matcha. That has changed. So unfortunately in May, Indy got quite ill very suddenly, literally overnight. On, I think it was a Thursday or a Friday. He fell off his perch in the middle of the night, and the next morning he was really weak. He was still eating, he just wasn't getting around very well, so I quarantined him. I put him in a little hospital cage, and, you know, treated him with like Pedialyte and stuff just to get him through the weekend because my vet was closed. Then by Monday, he was deteriorating pretty quickly, and so I did take him into the vet, and she diagnosed him with literally just like generalized organ failure. He was very old. And he tended to kind of slow down a little bit more every spring that I had him, and that spring in particular this year he just really slowed down. So after we did some tests, she was like, you know, I can pursue this, like I can try and figure out if it's a tumor or if it's an infection or what, but he's very ill, and I would be hesitant to like recommend a super invasive treatment plan or invasive testing because I'm not sure that it's really fair to him, which I agreed with. Like I told her when I took him in, I was like, I don't want to pursue anything major if it looks like it's something serious because he's very old, he's had a hard life, and he's very afraid of other people, so I don't want to put him through that stress. So unfortunately in May I did end up having to euthanize Indy. Really quickly. I was not at all expecting to have to euthanize him. I knew he was old. I knew I wouldn't have him long, but it always sucks. And then the hardest part for sure was this is the first time that I've had the opportunity to bring a bird home after I've had to have them euthanized so that the others can see them and grieve. And watching them grieve over his body was probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest things I've ever gone through as a pet owner, because there was no doubt in my mind that they were very aware that something wasn't right. That was hard. It was a hard one, you guys. Indy is now gone. And I'm really grateful for the couple of years I had with him. I'm glad we were able to give him like a good retirement and a good final few years. I'm glad that he got a mate and that he learned how to fly and be a bird. And I will definitely always miss him. I was not ready to say goodbye to Indy, but I'm really proud of the life that I was able to give him. Yeah, so shortly after Indy passed away, I got a call from a friend pretty late at night, and they had found a neonatal kitten who was only a few days old who had been dumped in the woods near our apartment. And we fed him and we got him formula. And then I put my life on hold a little bit to raise him. So we took turns, my sister-in-law and my friends, so that each of us could have a couple nights to kind of sleep, because kittens, when they're newborn, need to be fed like every 2 hours. Yeah, I kind of put my whole life on hold to just raise this kitten, who I still have. He'll be 5 months old next week, I believe. His name is Bean. He was an unexpected son that I now have. We raised him. He did super well. I'll do a whole separate video on my experience hand raising kittens, because it certainly was an experience. And I also don't want to promote the idea that hand raising kittens is great, because Bean got really good care. Like, he followed up with my vet all the time. We fed him a ton. He was like well ahead of his growth curve. But he does still have like behaviors and things that he wouldn't have had he not been hand raised and had he been with his family. So it's definitely never an ideal situation to have to hand raise an animal, but I had a really hard time finding resources on how to hand raise kittens safely, and so the couple that I did find, I do want to share in a video for folks that may end up in similar situations. We were actually in a COVID lockdown when we found Bean. We weren't able to get him to a foster, so we just learned how to hand raise him, and we did it, and he did great. And I will insert videos and photos of a really adorable kitten somewhere in here. So that was May. It was a little bit of chaos. And then the first week of June, I had a breeder reach out to me who had heard Indy's story from a local bird group that I'm in. And she said, hey, listen, I actually have a male parrotlet here I can't breed him because he had an accident and one of his toes sticks out straight. So he has a really hard time breeding. Like, he can't get up there, if you know what I mean. Anyways, so he's alone, and I would really like for him to go to a good home with somebody who is confident working with parrotlets and knows that sometimes they're really social with other birds and sometimes they're not, if you are interested in adopting out this bird. So Matcha had been pretty lonely without Indy and had definitely been looking for him. So I was like, you know what, sure, like, I like to keep four is the number that I'm happy with in my aviary, because everybody has a buddy. Like, even if they're not a bonded couple, they still have a buddy. So I picked up Miso, is his name. I'll probably do like a big intro on him as well. We can go look at him in the aviary. So there's a whole story about Miso's toes, because it was more than just the one toe, it turns out. So about a week after we found Bean the kitten and brought him home, I picked up Miso. So I had him planned, oh my god, Miso, get off the camera. I had Miso planned before we found the kitten. He's very shy. There he is. And he actually came from a breeder, so he's a bit of a rescue as well. He was beaten up by a previous mate, so he's missing a bunch of toes and has a bunch of nerve damage. Wow, you guys really don't want me to look at Miso. Kita, What are you doing? God, this is a mess. Okay, well, Miso can have his own video. He's missing a bunch of toes, but he's fine. And he's really cute. That's all you need to know. So that was at the start of June. Through July and August, I was still hand raising Bean. I think he weaned mid-July, August, maybe, I can't remember. End of July, no, it was the end of July, because I took him camping. Bean went camping. He's a really great leash cat. So when he was 3 months old, we did take him camping, and he went on like a 5K hike, and he had the best time with all of us. It was me and my mom and her dog, and it was honestly such a great trip. However, sometimes good things are also a curse. About a month after I got back from that trip, I got so sick. So sick, you guys. And me being sick, frankly, deserves its own video, but I'll brush over the basics here, because it was August 15th that I got sick, and it is now October 8th, and I am literally still sick. Like, it was so bad. August 15th, I noticed on my ankle there was a tiny little abscess, and I didn't think much of it. It literally looked like a pimple. I did what any person would do. I popped it because it was cool. And I flushed it out with some saline, put some polysporin in it, taped it up real nice. And when I say it was tiny, it was literally like, it looked like someone had poked me with a pencil. Like, it was so small. 2 days after that happened, I was at work and I just suddenly started running a fever, and all of the muscles in my back tensed straight up. And I have a bad back to begin with, so I assumed I had just really hurt my back. It was like my neck, my lower back, I had a really, really bad fever. And then I noticed when I was talking to people that I was running out of air, like mid-sentence. And I was like, that's not right. But I was off the next 2 days, so I figured I would sleep it off and come back to work later that week, you know? I thought I was coming down with something. I had a negative COVID test, so I knew it wasn't that. So that was like through the weekend. And then on Wednesday morning, on my second day off, I woke up at 5 a.m. and couldn't breathe. Get air in, kind of, but then as soon as I tried to breathe out, all of the muscles in my chest would just spasm, and I had to like breathe around my rib cage. It felt like I can't even explain it. I just couldn't breathe. Like, I would have to like shove the air out of my chest. Got up and I used Chip's nebulizer. If you guys remember Chip, my budgie from when he was ill, he had a nebulizer which helps you breathe. So I got up and like I started fumbling for Chip's nebulizer. And while I was fumbling, I walked past my mirror and I realized that my lips and my nails were both blue. So I was like, okay, great. If this nebulizer doesn't help, in like 10 minutes, I'm going to call an ambulance, because obviously something here is very wrong. So I ended up in hospital with a fever of 104, 105. They ran all kinds of tests and they couldn't find the problem. They took really, really good care of me. It wasn't their fault that all my tests were coming back normal. And then eventually, with a lot of IV steroids, they got my breathing under control. So they sent me home with more steroids, and basically told me the steroids are going to help you breathe, but they're also going to suppress your immune system long enough that we can find whatever is causing an infection. A couple days after that, the abscess reappeared, and the infection around it, like the redness, had spread to like most of the way around my ankle. So I knew that's what it was. So we went in, I was treated for a staph infection and the beginnings of sepsis. I came home with more antibiotics to recover. I was just so sick. Like, I wasn't sleeping through the night. Like, my body just kept waking up and being like, something's not right. Like, I couldn't get comfortable. My ribs hurt. My back hurt. My leg muscles were just in so much pain. And the infection was clearing up and my fever was gone, but I was just so sore. Like, it literally every muscle from like my waist down just felt bruised. Like, it felt like I had been, what I can only imagine being hit by a car feels like. After like a week or so of that, I went back to the hospital. Muscles in my thighs and in my knees were so tight that I couldn't take like a full step. And it didn't matter how I sat or like if I walked or if I stretched, nothing helped. Like, it just hurt so bad. They sent me home with a bunch of anti-inflammatories and muscle relaxants, what have you. And a week after that, I moved. So the morning I got up to move, I was having breathing problems again. I was still in a ton of pain. I still was only sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night. I tapped out and I was like, okay, I still can't breathe. I'm still in all this pain. Like, oh my God, what do I do? So I went back to the ER for the 4th time, 3rd time, 4th time. I went back. And by that point I was getting pretty exasperated. Like, I was like borderline, well, no, I was in tears. I was like, I'm just so tired because I'm not sleeping. My breathing is weird. My fever's gone, but literally nothing else has improved. Like, if anything, it's worse because now I'm dealing with the fatigue of having been sick for this long. So I never go to the ER expecting to be taken seriously. So the fact that they did take me seriously was like, and I told them that. I did make sure that they knew how much I appreciated that because it's very rare. All I had to say, I went back to the ER for the zillionth time. And the doctor who saw me that time consulted with infectious disease, and both of them were like, we'll lay money that you have Lyme disease. They were like, you were camping, you had that abscess, and then things have just gone downhill since. Like, I live somewhere that has a lot of ticks. Like, I know 4 people other than myself who've had Lyme disease this year. So they were like, we'll test you. The test takes like a week or 2 to come back, but in the meantime, we're going to start you on antibiotics for Lyme. And if it doesn't make you feel better in a couple of days, come back. And literally within a few hours of me getting antibiotics, I felt better. So we know that that's what that was. I just finished 22 days of antibiotics for Lyme disease, and I am completely better except for my back issues. So Lyme disease can get into your nervous system, which is what had happened to me, because the longer it goes untreated, the more invasive it gets, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so mine is in my nervous system and in my spine, so I'm still kind of hobbling around. Both my femoral nerves in both legs are kind of messed up right now, so I have a really hard time lifting my legs, and I have a really hard time taking like a full step. It just doesn't, I just hobble around. I look like I'm drunk a lot of the time, and it takes me a long time to go up and down stairs. Also not very comfortable, but I am getting treated for that, so hopefully it'll resolve sooner rather than later, because I would like to be able to run in the event that I'm being chased or there's a fire or whatever. I would like to be able to run. That brings us up to now, I guess. So in 3 weeks, I am having endometriosis surgery. Finally. You know that surgery that I've been like actively wanting, excision surgery for probably the last 4 years. I'm finally getting it. They booked it while I was super sick, and I had to postpone it twice because I was so sick. So, but we think, fingers crossed, this time it's gonna happen on November 1st. I have to meet with my surgeon and my anesthesiologist and my post-op care team next week. Other than that, we are good to go. And soon I will be on the mend from that and Lyme disease. So if I play my cards right, I will hopefully feel like a functional person by Christmas. Pretty much where I've been. I was going through some stuff with my animals. I was hand raising a cat, which takes like all of your time. All of your time. I loved it though. He was so cute. Then I almost died. So I've had a little bit going on. I've been through it this year, you guys. My animals have been through it. Cusco's been plucking. He's actually been way less hormonal since we moved here, which is incredible, and I really hope it lasts. So all that to say, this is where I've been. I am hoping to get back into regular uploads eventually. I always said I would do YouTube as long as it was fun, and this year it honestly just felt like more of a commitment than I was necessarily able to provide. Now that things are kind of hopefully slowing down, I do want to get back into regular content, especially with some aviary upgrades I have planned. I have a couple new coral in my tank. I have a new fish. I have a Valentini puffer in there as well. I do just kind of want to get back into sharing all that because I do enjoy documenting everything, even just for myself to look back on. It's really nice to look back on like my previous videos and see my animals and see like what their setups were like at the time. But once we're all moved in and settled, I will definitely do a house tour and an enclosure tour because we have a couple different animal rooms going on in this house and I do want to share those. But in the meantime, thank you so much as always for sticking around and for being so supportive, even though I never upload, and even though when I do upload, my videos are just super rambly and disorganized. It's just kind of how my life is, honestly. Thank you, as always, for being so supportive. I'm thinking about you. I appreciate every single one of you, and hopefully I will see you sooner rather than later.